Good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, Redding, California. How are you feeling today? It's a good way to be. Thank you, Sue, for inviting me up to share my thoughts on the topic, being. I'm a lover of words. So when I think of a word, I want to go to the dictionary. I look at the etymology, where words come from, and I want to dissect the meaning of a word. So my first order of business was go to dictionary.com and see what the meaning of being was. In the dictionary, there were two definitions. Number one, existence. Simply one word, existence. There's a lot that comes with that. The second definition was the natural essence of a person. What is the natural essence of you? The you before you were you, before the identity, before the beliefs that you took on. When you were probably somewhere between the age of 7 and 11, that little kid, the essence of you. It was Jesus. I like to call him Yeshua. Yeshua. He said something along the line, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, I say unto you, unless you be converted and be as little children, thou shalt not enter the kingdom of heaven. Let's unpack that for just a moment. Unless you be converted, unless you change from this identity that you believe you are, everything that you've packed on from your birth, unless you go back to being as a little child. And remember, he didn't say children, he didn't say a teenager, he didn't say adolescent, he said little children. That essence you were before you took on your beliefs. Go back into that state, that part of you that doesn't judge. Do little children judge? They're open. They're open to being what they are, who they are, and immerse themselves in what's around them. In essence, when we talk about being and beingness, what we're really saying is presence. Not only being present to the moment, as we hear a lot of, be in the moment, be in the now, but also being present to what is going on within ourselves. Being present and honest with who and what we are on the inside, and letting that unfold on the outside. Being your truest self, authentically you. And because I'm a lover of words, I like to play around with words. You. I like acronyms. You, Y-O-U, your opulent uniqueness. You, what is your opulent uniqueness? Opulent meaning rich and lavish. The richness and fullness that you are at your core. Being. How can you be if you are not expressing the full you? I know for me, personally, I've stuffed away and kept myself small for quite some time. It's easy to go hide in the corners and not express fully all that you are. Anyone else? Yeah? The more we step out of those comfort zones and hide away and shy away from expressing our truest self, the more of that opulent uniqueness that is you steps to the forefront and ends up on the stage of your life. Because here's the beautiful part of that. You are the hero of your journey, right? You're the star of your show. You want to be an extra in the movie of your life? No, it's not what you were born for. You were born for much more. You were born to express the full uniqueness of who and what you are, whatever that is. Getting back to that first part, existence. Existing fully in this moment. The presence of now. There are many great spiritual teachers on the planet that have taught how to be present. There are two that I'd like to share with you today that I know you know who they are, but it may not be the ones that you're thinking. I shared a little bit about one of those teachers earlier, and actually Jesus was the one that led us to that knowledge, that it's little children, the little ones. Observe them. When I look into the eyes of an infant especially, there's something magical there, something untainted, something unbridled. There's a wisdom inside of those, on the other side of those eyes. And I want to just look in there and say, what do you know? What do you have to teach me? Observe little children. Watch them. And notice how they don't judge things. They immerse themselves in it. And not only what they're doing, but all of the senses. As you connect with more of your senses, what the smell smells like, how this feels, how it looks, you connect more to presence of the moment. The other teacher I want to talk about is animals. I saw a social media post. It was an image, and it was just an image. There were no words. And there was a man and a dog sitting on a park bench. And above the man was a bunch of bubbles representing his thoughts. There was a house, there was a car, there was money, and there was, you fill in the bubble. What's your bubble? Then he showed the dog. And on this side, the dog, one bubble. And can you guess what was in that bubble? It was the man and the dog sitting on the park bench. By observing animals and seeing how they are totally immersed in whatever is going on and emulating that in our own lives, we connect more with the present moment, the presence that lives inside. That presence, or what I call authentic essence is that primordial energy back of you, that creator energy inside, the you before you were you. Be with that. Spend more time in that energy. Here in the Western world, we're caught up in so much doing. It's the wanting to be successful. We have to be successful and do this and do that. Have the money in the bank, the nice car, the nice driveway to pull it into, to look at the beautiful house. And we often judge ourselves by what we have because of what we have to do to get that. As they say, we're trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? Well, what if the Joneses don't like themselves? And the Joneses are trying to keep up with the Rodriguez family across the street. And they're trying to keep up with the Smiths down the road, who are trying to keep up with the Joneses, who are essentially trying to keep up with themselves. We've all heard that saying, are you a human being or are you a human doing? Well, maybe you haven't. If you haven't, you just heard it today. Are you caught up in acting as a human doing, or are you being human? And in our humanity, we must connect more to not only each other, but that deepest aspect of who and what we are. I have a practice that I call the ABCs of practicing presence. And I'm not sure how much time I have left. If I can share that now, I don't have the time. So you're going to have to come back next service to hear about the ABCs of practicing presence. It's been my honor to share this time with you today. And I'm going to hand it back over to Reverend Sue MillerBorn to take this message home.
Miss Stationery. So, interesting, as I'm sitting there being fully present while we're doing our mindful 2 minutes between Robin and Damien, being so centered, I decided to quietly inside burp. And you know how that is, where a burp just comes and you know it's heard, but you pretend you didn't do it, you're not the one. They were so respectful, they didn't move out of their centeredness. And I thought, okay, so I am the one being the burp. And that's how it is. I was the one being. So Damien highlighted, and I just love his words and his willingness to just fully be. And that's the invitation for all of us. Can we fully be? Tara Brock, we're finishing up in this month the wisdom of her true refuge. And the idea of awareness, I wanted to share. She said, what we are looking for is what is looking. So we're not looking for an object. What we're looking for is what is looking. So often we keep seeking the divine experience, God, spirit, nature, the mystery. We keep seeking. It's already within us, as us. So it's a trick. And there was a cartoon that she shared that I thought was pretty witty. The cartoon said, "I am nothing, yet I am all that I can think about." And I thought, hello, that is so much my experience. And she goes on to say other very insightful moments about this thing about ourselves. We get this idea that somehow, she calls it her special self. She slips in and out of her special self. And I realized that's when we are separated from being one with the divine. There is this idea that I recognized this past week when I was up at the retreat with Andrea up at Whidbey Island with those women up there. We were playing around with some of those cards, that you tell you, and maybe set an intention for your day. And the card spoke out to me, "You are obsessively thinking." No, I'm not. I'm trying to meditate. No, you are obsessively thinking. And I told Andrea, it says I'm obsessively thinking. She goes, "You are." I am obsessed, and I thought I am. I am obsessively thinking. I am rehearsing and thinking and rehearsing and thinking, and I am creating, as Tara Brach described herself, I am becoming, again, that special person outside of simply being. Somehow, name it whatever you want, that part of yourself that just feels a little bit separate, a little bit, you don't want to be responsible for what's going on, so you create this persona around it, and so that special person. So there's moments where that special person disappears, and you are again one with whatever is. You are engaged with what is. I see the tree, and the tree sees me. Beautiful mantra to bring you back home. I see the tree sees me, and you are one. No longer the special person, analyzing, judging. What kind of tree? What needs to be pruned off that tree? Just the tree sees me, and I see the tree. This idea, I asked Andrea, what do I do if I've got obsessive thinking? And the wisdom is to put some boundaries on thinking. And so I realized in this beingness, there's also this aspect as we are, there's this divine gift of the imaginal thinking that Reverend Mary and I were working with Neville Goddard's work on prosperity, this imaginal thinking. And I thought, I can go there. I can start in my being state to create and to see a more vivid outcome, a more vivid idea of what is going on in my experience. And I decided right then and there, when I'm finding myself in that bubble, surrounded in that bubble of my own special person, and I want to pop that bubble and be integrated, embraced, infused with the divine, it is up to me to allow those spinning thoughts to be set free. They are not me. And I want to be the gatekeeper in my being state as I co-create with that divine, as I sit in the lap of the divine and we become one and we smile at the trees. I allow that moment to be the creative part of who I am, and that's where the creative energy is infused with this greater idea as I involve, as Damien said, we engage all the senses like the small child, like the little people. They engage every sense to just be in the now. So there was this other beautiful quote, "What are you unhappy?" This is, I love his name, Wei Wu Wei. What are you unhappy? Because 99.9% of everything you do is for yourself, and there isn't one. Take that one home. We do everything for ourselves, but there really isn't one. We're all in here together. And so Stephen Joseph says, when the cop pulls us over, we need to show him our license, but not just point to the sky. What does that mean? Do you get that? We do have an identity. It is important to be ourself and to declare, I am Sue getting a ticket. I can't just point to the sky and say, I am one. It worked for Ram Dass, but it wouldn't work for most of us. So this idea, we're living in both realms, so we're in and out of the bubbles of life. And I thought how I would just bring my magic wand here to demonstrate how these bubbles, how long we can be in this bubble. So just think about this. You're one, we're all one, and then up. We're all one. Now watch, how long are we by ourselves, and then we reach obstacles, and we meditate, and we disappear. Who can do this while we talk? Is there a kid in here? No kids? Nobody wants to do this? It's so much fun. Here you go, just go through the crowd and mess with them, and don't worry about their hair. So think about that as those bubbles pass you, the times that you feel that you're special and separate, and just watch the moments that we float around in our specialness, right? And then we pop, we're back one. One with the divine when we get an insight, when we get an idea that is greater than the smallness which we contained ourselves in the bubble of experience. This is the idea that you are nothing, yet we're all we can think about when we're inside that bubble. So the real world, there's a wisdom from Sri Nisargadatta, the real world is beyond our thoughts and ideas. We see through the net of our desires, divided into pleasure and pain, right and wrong, inner and outer. To see the universe as it is, you must step beyond the net. It's not hard to do, for the net is full of holes. So this idea, step back. Step back as you witness. You can step back and even see yourself floating in the bubbles, floating in the idea of the dog and the man on the park bench. What's in your bubble? And where are you allowing yourself to reside, to be, to just simply be? The bubble of the self. The bubble of the self. Now, your one out in the audience might be going, why is there so many, when she blows the bubbles, they're all landing on me? I saw that, Robert. Are you full of yourself? Oh my. No. We all have many moments, many experiences where the life of bubbles seems like that's all we can see is a bubbled experience. But I'm going to bring you back to the state of being, to look at the space between the bubbles, the space within the bubble, all divine, the space. And so to get into this being state, when you feel, as I was, that I recognize obsessive thinking, what is between my thoughts? And there is space. And that is the sacred space of the divine. That is the sacred space of refuge. That is the sacred space that is longing to hold us, to infuse upon us a greater idea and a greater wisdom. So when I speak to that, when we go into that state, that is the alpha state, that is the meditative state where everything slows down, heart rate, breathing, blood pressure, the stress hormones in the body, everything just slows down because you're going into the space between the thoughts. And when you're allowing yourself to dwell in that realm of divine connection, that is the connection of love. So engaging in that, all the senses, your sight, you see the space. Hearing, Listen in this room. You hear what's in the space around you. You taste. You taste what this morning has been for you so far, the sweet taste of a peach mixed with yogurt. That's mine. And you realize that's my senses. I see within, I hear within, I taste within, I feel all around me. Love prevails. I am safe here. I am immersed, infused with my senses. I am at the very center of who I am. So let's go there for a very brief practice as she reminds us of this space. Close your eyes. Those eyes that entertain belief, judgments, perceptions. Pop the bubbles and let yourself dwell in the space that remains, in that visionary space that is so much more than the size of that single bubble. Do you see that in your mind's eye, this inner space? Can you imagine the space between your eyes? Feel that. Can you imagine the space between your ears? Can you imagine the region between your forehead and the back of your head? There's space. There's organs, but there's space. There's space filled with divine. Space. Can you imagine your hands as they lay upon your lap? There is space in between each finger into the palm of the hand. Below the hand, there is space. In your chest, there is space. Feel it as you breathe. Can you feel that space? That is the divine breathing inside of you, that divine sparkle of space. Your whole body filled with space. 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 And how far inside your body can you go? Can you travel through the cells, through the streams and the rivers of your own body? There is space in between each cell, in between each breath, in between each heartbeat. Space. Space between your thoughts. Space all around you. Infinity. Space. Divinity. Space. You're imagining this continuum of space filled with awareness. Nothing but awareness. What is awareness? It is love. You are safe. You are held. In this moment of time, yesterday is over. Tomorrow hasn't been. It's right now, right here, present moment, holy moment. Present moment, holy moment. You're resting in this wakeful moment. You're resting right here. We are seeking this divine experience. We are longing for this divine spaciousness. Welcome home. As you continue to infuse yourself with space and beingness and awareness, presence, love, you take a deeper breath. I am here. We are all here. The space in this room is holding us, each a divine being, in their own name, in their own life. But we are held in this oneness, in this unified field of love and grace. And here we offer our prayer, here, where we can feel, sense, and taste the prayer of our heart. We imagine here that we are held in the image of the divine, our image, whatever that is. It becomes individualized now as we say our prayer into this space. We have arrived. There is only one. And we breathe our divinity, our refuge, our solace, our healing. We are one. We have arrived. We are held. All discontent fades away. All confusion disappears. For we are one. And a great love holds us all. As misunderstandings, confusion, perhaps arises through this space, we remember who we are. And we sink deeper into the one, into this love. So in this holy moment, as you feel the energy of the ones before you, behind you, around you, feel the fellowship of humanity, and then feel your sense of individuality, and feel a sense of great compassion and caring for the one around you, beside you, and for yourself. For we are on a journey, hand in hand, heart to heart, leaning in to one another, discovering a greater love, a greater peace. And we feel it, we taste it, we see it, we know it. And we give thanks that we had a place of refuge, a place of silence, of stillness, where we could think our thought all the way through to glorify this connection with the divine. We are that. And we remember why we came today. Just to be, to put everything down and just be. Thank you, God. I see you and you see us, and we are one. Thank you, God. That's all there is. And so it is. So it is.